I hope you guys have notes ready because it's a good one.
We're gonna get straight to the point to save you some time and start off with the things that you need to know
before hitting the road, or if you want to travel full time.
It's just gonna make it a lot easier.
The first question is what type of travels you want to do. I think that's gonna determine what type of rig you're gonna get. Depending, you wanna visit every national park, you wanna just stay in campgrounds and go on the weekends. Do you want to go to cities? We used to be in a school bus and there's a lot of things that we were not able to do because of the size of our rig. If you have a big family, maybe a bus makes sense for you, but you want to just go in like a snowboard trip, or you want to go bicycle trip and things like that you're gonna need to move and park in random places, maybe a van or an SUV will make sense for you.
With that being said, we do have a video detailing our own personal preference between a van or a bus, and I know there are tons of other rigs. You can do trucks, SUV campers, Jeeps, all sorts of things, RVs that already are built out. So we're gonna leave that card right here if you want to see our personal opinion from our experience. Yes, there is bias there because we've lived in each of them. So go into that understanding that we're a really good resource for this, but again, it is our own personal opinions.
Yes.
That's gonna be right here.
Something that we get asked a lot is insurance. How do you insurance your vehicle?
Yeah, so insuring your vehicle can be complex, and I think this is an important segue for us to say we are not insurance agents. So take that as it is. If you go with the bus, there are only a handful of companies that are going to insure it to any capacity. Full coverage is likely out of the question. But some tips and tricks. You do not need to tell your insurance agent what you intend to do with this vehicle. You own it, it's for personal use. The more you share, the more difficult your time getting insured is going to be. So my recommendation, if you're in a bus, call Progressive Commercial and tell them you've purchased the bus, it's for personal use, and you need to get an insurance policy on it. There are some states that have very specific distinctions between motorhomes and standard passenger vehicles or recreational vehicles. If you live in one of those states, you can go through the process of having your bus or van or whatever you're traveling in that's not technically considered an RV titled as an RV. That way you can call your insurance company and try and get the things inside your van insured as well.
Yes.
Or bus or whatever it is. When it came to our van, we simply called Geico that we already had insurance policies with, and we said, hey, we need to get insurance for this. We gave them the VIN. They asked if we wanted full coverage. We said yes, and bada bing, bada bang.
Yes, it was pretty easy. Of course, if something happens to the van, and we would not be covered for the things inside of it.
Correct. But we also live in a state where there is absolutely no distinction between a standard vehicle and a recreational vehicle.
Yes.
So they're titled and tagged exactly the same. At some point on the road, you're going to get stuck.
Yes, it happens to the best of us. It has happened to us twice, once in the bus and once in the van.
It's a rite of passage.
You know, like you live in a vehicle, you have to get stuck at least once.
It's bound to happen. So what happens when you get stuck? Well, hopefully you've thought through some recovery options. If you're in a smaller vehicle and even a larger vehicle, MaxTrax or off-brand MaxTrax recovery tracks are a really great resource to have.
We also find out leveling blocks are an amazing way to get yourself out of that hole.
You need a shovel. Cutting boards do not cut it. They're really good for cutting, but they're not good at digging yourself out. If you have a place to mount a winch, it could be really useful in certain areas. If you're out in the middle of the desert, it's probably not going to be anything that's going to work for you. If you're in the forests, yeah, you can probably get yourself unstuck by using a winch. But if all else fails,
we have Good Sam.
And we really like Good Sam because it doesn't matter the vehicle you have. We've had friends who have had AAA.
They don't cover Sprinter vans or
buses.
Buses, yeah, or rigs that you convert yourself, pretty much.
So get Good Sam. That's a really great resource to have. It'll save you money on a tow. It's annual membership, and I will tell you, we've already used it. The first time that we had to get unstuck by a tow truck in our bus, it cost us almost $300. So it's well worth it.
This is Chase's area, because if it was up to me, I would just take the van and get maintenance somewhere.
Regardless of the type of vehicle you have, whether it's just a travel trailer or a truck or a van or a bus, you have to keep it maintained. It can be something as simple as checking your bearings, greasing your bearings, changing your fluids, replacing your air filters, replacing your brakes.
Yeah, or even the maintenance inside your vehicle, like things that even if you pay someone to build your rig, things are gonna break. So you're gonna have to know like how to fix your pipe, or if a cabinet breaks and you have to change your drawer slice, small things like that you're gonna have to have a tiny little bit of knowledge to get yourself out of situations.
Yeah, so truthfully, my best recommendation for anyone considering this lifestyle, regardless if you're building it basic, you're building it very articulate and advanced, or you are buying a rig that someone else built, you need to have a very good understanding of all the systems at play. You will need to understand your solar system. You will need to understand all of your electrical systems. If you have them, you'll need to understand your plumbing situation. And then to keep your vehicle on the road, you need to understand the systems involved with that, and you need to have at least some understanding of how to maintain them, because it will save you massive amounts of money going on the road. We just replaced our brakes and it cost us $80. That was for the pads and the sensors. I was able to do it in just a few hours, and it saved us over $1,000 from taking it to the dealership. Changing our oil, it's $130 for us to do. That is one of the best things that you can do to keep your engine running smoothly, and the dealer was going to charge us over $600 to do that.
I think a very important question is how we can sustain traveling full time.
Oh, we live in a van. It's super cheap.
It's not. You can make it as cheap as possible.
Yeah, I mean, your rig can be as cheap as possible. The way you live can be as cheap as possible. Yes. There's so many places that are free that you can literally bounce back and forth between them on less than a quarter of a tank of fuel and a month.
But still, somehow you're gonna have to make money.
Yes.
This is how we personally make money on the road, and how we have heard other people making money on the road.
Yes.
When we first started, we had no jobs, we had severance and some savings, and we had no idea why people didn't share how they make money on the road. And I think it's because it changed depending on everybody.
Yeah.
For us, we make videos online, so thanks to you. If there's an ad, let it play. Help us out. We also make money with affiliate links. If you click on it and you buy something, we make a little commission out of it. Costs you the same, but it helps us to keep being on the road, maybe pay for some gas. We also get money from partnerships with brands that we believe in.
For the longest time, I worked a fully remote job with an eyeglasses company named Warby Parker. Most of their jobs are fully remote. There are a ton of other remote jobs now that we live in the middle of a global pandemic.
Everybody went remote, and they show you that there's ways that you can do what you're doing remotely.
So when we built our van, we came upon a very unique layout. We designed it ourselves, and we wanted to share that wealth of information. So we spent almost 2 weeks putting together a guide that can be purchased and downloaded digitally, because who wants to waste a ton of paper? Not me. And that's another way that we make money. We understand the way we make money is not going to work for everyone. Other ways you can make money is if you have a skill. Are you really good at repairing things that break? We know friends that are carpenters on the road. We have friends that are photographers on the road.
Yeah, we have friends that do leather work on the road, or jewelry, or if you're good at painting. There's so many ways that you can create your own little brand, and people will support your brand because what you're doing is different.
So if you've ever had a hobby that you would love to turn into an income, living nomadically affords you the time and the creative energies to do that. But if you're like me and you don't have hobbies like that you think could make you money, you can always do seasonal work. So Amazon does what they call the camper forest. There are sugar beet harvests. Those are pretty dangerous, but you can do them.
They pay good, too.
They do pay well. You can work as a yearbook photographer for schools. These are all seasonal jobs. Or if you've ever bartended or worked as a server or at an auto parts store, you can go to a city that you like and get a seasonal job, save, and then hit the road with that money. So a lot of our friends work 3 months out of every year, and then they travel the remaining 9 and then do it all over again. So we live in our van. So that means we don't technically have a permanent address. And we know this is a pain point for a lot of people and a large concern for a lot of people as well. How do we get our mail?
This doesn't make sense.
What do we put on all our legal documents?
We're fortunate that we have family here in Tennessee that help us out and let us use their address. But we also have a P.O. box.
Yes, and you can really buy a P.O. box anywhere. We have a P.O. box in southern Arizona.
We also have friends that we get to reach out and be like, hey, we're going to be in the area. I'd love to visit you. Can I also send some packages your way?
And that always works if you have friends all over the place. Another thing is if you only need packages and you already shop from Amazon, you can use Amazon lockers, and it's a very large network. A lot of the times they're in businesses that aren't open 24 hours, so that can kind of be a pain point, but it is a practical way to get packages for things that you just want to buy or maybe you need to repair while you're traveling.
Yeah.
And then one that we personally don't have experience with, but I know people who do. There are several mail forwarding companies. One I think by the name of Mail Anywhere USA, based in South Dakota, that gives you residency as long as you stay one night there, and you pay an annual subscription. You can send all of your mail there. They can forward it anywhere in the world for you. It is a legal permanent address that they issue you, so you can register your vehicle, you can get South Dakota license plates, a driver's license. Yeah, you can vote there. One
of the biggest expenses I think that we have on the road, and then you have to prepare yourself. I don't think I realized how much we were going to be spending and how often we were going to be spending money on. It's fuel. In the bus, that was a whole shenanigan. That was 100 gallon of diesel.
At about 8.5 miles per gallon. So when you decide on your vehicle, understand the fuel that's going to come along with it.
How much would you say we spend in the bus and in the van?
I would say we averaged around $450 a month on fuel in the bus, and we probably average around $300 to $350 in the van. And it's not for being less fuel efficient.
It's because we move more often in the van. So in the bus, we were staying in a place for even a month.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't explore much or as often different places in the bus. We were just finding places we could park. We would park there, stay the 14 days we were allowed to stay probably, and then move along. We were spending money to get to the place, but then we were not spending money to move around, because if we wanted to explore the city or small places that we couldn't fit the bus, we would just take our Jeep.
Yeah, that's essentially rent for us. Rent to get us anywhere that we want to be. Again, it just depends on how quickly you want to travel, how you want to travel, and your fuel economy. We're getting rocking fuel economy, almost 21 miles per gallon in the van versus that 8.5 in our bus.
This is something that when we first started traveling, I didn't think about. Like, I just thought that there was places we could stay anywhere. Like, I saw like the side of the road, why not? You know, but then we got to understand the maps and where people are supposed to park and where it's legal, where it's illegal to park. There's places that you're not supposed to even live in your vehicle.
Or just be in your vehicle overnight.
But then there's also apps that we use to help us figure it out where to sleep. And some of the apps that we use more often are iOverlander, which has tons of information It can help you find out where you can fill fuel, where you can find water, where you can find a place to sleep. Even if you want to pay for a campground, there's all over. There's also an app that we use a lot, Seeker. It has a lot of information. What I love about Seeker is also there's community in there, so you can see people that are close by, they live in their vehicles as well. One app that I will say Chase loves the most is Onyx Hunt.
Yeah, and it's a map specifically for hunters, which I'm not a hunter, but I really love the land maps, the federal land maps, the private land maps. I love all of that information because it helps me make an informed decision on where I want to be. I reference Seeker, I reference iOverlander, I reference Free Roam, Camp Indium. There are a ton of apps that you can reference or use just entirely on their own, but I personally like to use them as a guide to kind of get me in the general location of somewhere I want to be. And then I reference the federal land maps and the public land maps available through Onyx Hunt and look at on and off road roads and trails. And I think that it's super important to understand what public lands are and how we are allowed to use them. So there are a ton of public lands that you're allowed to stay up to 14 days at a time. So the BLM, that's the Bureau of Land Management. That's primarily going to be out in the Southwest or in the Northwest, but this is primarily going to be federally owned and managed lands that you can disperse camp on with usually very few amenities or absolutely no amenities for up to 14 days at a time. National forests, those are everywhere, and you can use those as dispersed camping sites for up to 14 days at a time as well, unless it's posted otherwise that you cannot. Depending on where in the country you live, you may have wildlife management areas that are open to dispersed camping. Army Corps of Engineers lands that are free for dispersed camping. You may also have TVA properties that are free for dispersed camping. And there are also sometimes city parks that allow you to stay overnight. But it takes a ton of research. But these are really good resources on how to find those. We don't always stay in areas that we're allowed to. There's an etiquette when it comes to this. It goes as simply as this. Before you go to a place that you shouldn't be at, you should do anything you need to do outside of your vehicle. Walk your dogs, take your trash out, anything.
Before you get to this place.
Absolutely. Yeah. So then when you get there, you're just there. You park.
You sleep.
And then you get up in the morning early and you leave.
Internet. And we mentioned we work on the road, so we constantly need internet. And this is something I didn't understand before getting on the road. I thought, oh, maybe I just hotspot from my phone, which you totally can do. Or I guess we could just drive to a coffee shop that has internet and get a coffee and also use their internet. That's valid. But a way that we make sure that we always have internet is through a hotspot.
So we have a dedicated portable hotspot. Some of you may know them as Wi-Fi devices or MiFi devices. We use AT&T before we started traveling. We have it on an old unlimited plan.
We also have a signal booster. They help us, make our signal a little better in places where signal is a little weak.
Yes. So if you have some service, but it's just not that good, a signal booster will drastically improve your quality of reception, your data speeds.
The amenities and the things that you put in your vehicle to make it more comfortable comes along with that. It depends on the way you want to travel. Do you want to just have a weekend getaway and you don't need a bathroom and all the fancy stuff?
If you want an Instagram van, or if you want a man utilitarian van, you can build anything you want to the spec of comfort and the amenities that you want.
Yes.
But
for us, we have a full electric van. So we don't have any propane. We have solar panels. We can just boondock pretty much anywhere. Our fridge probably hold food for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, we can stretch that thing so far.
Yeah, we have 46 gallons of water. We're good. We're good to go. but not everybody is the same way.
And we knew what we wanted when we started. We understood the level of comfort that we wanted, and we think it's important for you to kind of understand what amenities you want as well.
Yeah.
Do you need 46 gallons of water?
Do you need a shower?
Do you need a toilet?
It's just priorities pretty much. But we have met people that have propane, or they don't have a bathroom, or they don't even have solar because they just stay fully at campgrounds.
It's important kind of to figure out what you want and then go from there. And like we said at the very beginning, depending on the type of travel, it might totally dictate the appliances and things that you have inside of your van or your bus or your RV or whatever. How do you do your clothes? How do you wash them?
Laundry days. A lot of people have buses and they have actually washers and dryers in there. We thought about putting one in our bus, but the idea of it was just...
It's too much water per wash and too much power per drying cycle.
So pretty much the only way that we were going to be able to use it if we were in a campground, we have full hookup and we could be connected to water, dumping our water at the same time. If not, it was not feasible for us.
Yeah.
What we do is we go to laundromats and they're all over the place. Some of them are very expensive. Some of them are pretty cheap.
Some of them are super crowded. A lot of them just have nobody in them at all. They're always hot. So it's great doing laundry in the winter.
Yes, but that's primarily how we do laundry on the road. Same with family and friends. If you're visiting, they always let you use their washer and dryer. So that's always a plus.
So after your laundry day, you want to go to a cool camp spot and you want to hang out with some friends. Well, how the heck do you meet people and how the heck do you find friends? And all of these meetups that we go to and these events, how do we know about those?
And it's funny because when we first started taking off in the bus, I thought that we were going to be by ourselves the whole time. I thought it was going to be like Chase and Maria Jose in the wild, never talking to someone for years and years.
And in part, I thought we were going to see people in buses and vans and campers everywhere.
And we never saw someone for a while.
We went 17 states and over 3,400 miles, and we didn't see a single camper, van, or bus the entire time.
Yeah, it was pretty heartbreaking for us.
There are a ton of ways that you can find community on the road, and I would say first and foremost, use the most real-time social media apps that you know of. So like Instagram and Facebook are really great because they have groups and communities that already exist.
Yeah.
And just join the group and start making friends.
Yeah. As well as I mentioned before, Seeker, it's an amazing app for that. They always keep you posted on meetups that are happening or people that you have close by, or even sometimes they promote their own events where you get to go and meet other people, or even online.
Yeah, they have virtual meetups, which are really rad. So traveling in all these places, how do we stay safe?
I have Chase. I'm kidding. I could. Have you seen these muscles?
Yeah, for sure. So there are certain things that you need to consider when it comes to this lifestyle. First and foremost, your patterns are not as recognizable as they are in a house. Yeah. However, you are totally exposed everywhere that you go. I would say first and foremost, trust your gut in every situation.
Yes.
So if you get somewhere and you don't feel comfortable with it,
just leave.
Yeah, don't stay until you feel better about it. Just leave. Your gut instinct is probably the best resource you have on keeping yourself out of a bad situation.
For sure.
If you get to a place and you feel comfortable with it, awesome. Put up some window covers so people can't watch you from outside.
Make sure to lock all your doors.
Lock your doors. That's like a no-brainer. People are inherently good, but lock those doors just in case.
Yes.
Your threat might not always be from someone or something outside. It could be a fire on the inside of your vehicle. Regardless of what vehicle you have, you should have more than one fire extinguisher.
Have a weapon that you can defend yourself with. Doesn't have to be a gun, but it could be a gun, it could be a knife, it could be a
big baseball bat. It could be a bunch of different things. So just understand your comfort level with whatever it may be. Understand the laws surrounding whatever weapon you may have to keep yourself safe, and do it. Just have something with you to protect yourself.
Also, there's a lot of self-defense classes you can take to make yourself feel more secure if you're by yourself or with someone else, if you go on a hike, or if someone tries to enter your vehicle.
Another thing is to have security lights or security system. So we have friends that have camera systems around their vans. We don't have that. We have lights. It might as well be stadium lighting. So if something happens, we can flip on all of our lights and we can see 360 degrees around our van. With all of that said, I think there's just one thing that's super important for everyone who's considering this in any capacity. Don't be a jerk. Don't litter. If you see litter, pick that up. And if you see someone littering, do not be afraid to report them, because they are going to ruin all of our access to these lands. And
Yes.
Don't let that happen on your watch.
Just make sure to take care of the places that you're able to stay, either being paid or free, and just make it easier for the next person that comes and check it out. And I will say, last advice is commit to it. If you want to do it, do it. Have a plan and just do it. The worst part that can happen is that you hate it and you go back to your normal 9 to 5, whatever it is that makes you feel normal.
We're never too old to start over. I don't care what age you are. If you're 95 or if you're 25, you can always bounce back. And even if you start traveling full time and you realize that it's not for you, well, at least you did it and you figured it out.
We hope you enjoyed today's video and that you got some information. If we didn't mention something that you still have questions on, make sure to leave it in the comments down below. We will be back with you
Next Sunday, we will see you then.
Bye, amiguis.